All right, so you drop out
So I dropped out of high school my
at
sophomore
15.
year. Yeah.
What town are you in?
Suburban Chicago, North Side.
Which-
We were in Winnetka, and then we moved to Evanston.
So you dropped out you were going to New Trier?
Yeah, I'm going to New Trier.
And you drop out.
Drop out October of my sophomore year.
Not a lot of dropouts from New Trier.
No, it's a great public school.
And then you...
So October, basically what happens is I was
early in October.
So here, I mean,
Early in the
I
year.
tried. I did.
You gave it a month.
I did a month and a half.
Yeah, you gave it a month and a half.
Well, what really happened on that story is
Sophomore year?
Sophomore year.
Okay.
Everything was catching up in terms of grades. Other kids who
Your past?
just getting bad grades. Like everything that I had done, it was the rubber was meeting the road, and I am a big believer on that. If you're doing something that's bad, it's gonna catch you.
Yeah.
You don't know when, and that was the year it caught me. I was getting really bad grades. There was a book I had to read, and there was an in-class essay, and I said to my mom, I can't go to school tomorrow because I haven't read the book. I am getting a D. This will give me an F. It's bad. And she goes, so you're going to read the whole book tonight? And I said, no. And the reason I tried to read it, I couldn't get it. And she goes, you're going to read the book tomorrow? And I go, I don't think so. And she goes, how about the next day? And then I said, Mom, I'm never going to read the fucking book.
You got to open your eyes, Mom.
And she said, so then why would you go back to school? And I go, I guess I'm not. And we looked at each other, and she was looking for me to find whatever my bottom was. And she goes, then I'm going to hold you to it. And I go, great. And then I walked into my room, and I was like, cool. And I sat there, and then that moment where I had like a cool standoff with my mom became real. And I was like, well, that's where all my friends are. What the fuck am I gonna do? So then I came out and I said, no, actually, I'm gonna go to school. And she said, no, you're not. And I said, okay. And then we didn't call the school, didn't tell anyone. I just didn't go back. And then a couple days later, a couple friends started calling. They're like, you sick? And I was like, no. Very different.
I'm sick. Like fucking
not in a cool
you're like
way.
sick.
But the first few days of it were interesting. And then the dust started settling and I started missing everybody. And I would like my buddy Charlie McElway and I would go to the McDonald's across from my house after school. And I would be like, what was everybody wearing? And he's like, huh? And I'm like, I know it's a weird question, but like, tell me everything. And then there was like a boys club called the Winnetka Youth Organization. And all the kids would get there at 3:30 when school ended. But they opened technically at noon. So I would get there at noon and like hang with the counselors and then leave at 3:30 because I didn't want to be that kid who was like hanging out at a youth center.
The old man who hangs out at high school.
I'm like, I'm only 15, but now I'm the weird guy. I don't go to school. And then my uncle who had legal trouble was living with us. And he used to hang neon signs and hustle gigs. And he saw me as, you're one of me.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to figure out how to work and hustle and create a grind because you're not going back to school. So then I started working with him, and that was that year.
For how, like, wake up at 8 a.m.?
No, like nothing strict because he was, self-employed. He smoked weed and made neon signs and would go around Chicago on Clark Street and try to get guys to buy his shitty neon signs. And then we would hang them and they would be unhappy and we would run to his truck and get out of there.
It's a great business.
It's funny looking back. It's not stuff I ever think about anymore. The funny thing about podcasts is like you tell your stories and I'm like, wait a minute. These stories have nothing to do with my life now.
I know. So that's what's funny. It's like, I'm scared for you. I know it turned out great. And I'm like, what's going to happen to this kid?
Yeah. Well, what he would do, which really pissed me off, and looking back, I do have love for it, but it's not how I parent. And it's generationally different. But he would say things where he would go like, you're like, and it's going to be interpreted incorrectly, but whatever. But he would say things like, you're never going back to school. This is it. And I would go, yeah, I am. And he'd be like, not a fucking chance. This is it. You've lost.
What did you think you were doing? Taking a break?
I thought my mom and I had talked about I think it was called Waldorf, or there was some like arty school in the city.
Yeah.
And I thought like, maybe I'm going to, do something cool. Maybe there's another move. And maybe there's some like fictional school that my mom kind of talked about once. And I guess I'm going to go there and probably going to be like a cool like artist girls.
Yeah.
And I'll just find my way.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
Paint.
It'll be cool. I'll do something. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, come on.
Something's gonna happen tomorrow, but today,
Not great.
I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
But also not bad. I really got close with my mom.
Was your dad around?
No, my dad he had substance abuse stuff. So he was gone when I was 2 and sobered up when I was 18.
Oh.
And then we got
Just in time.
That's what I was the youngest too. I would also be like, it took me a while to forgive him because I'm like, your timing's just too convenient, my man.
Yeah. 18th birthday. You got out of rehab.
And he's like, I'm now available. And I'm like,
hilarious.
Well played.
So how did you right the ship?
So what basically happened is that year my mother said, you have to do something. So she would say like, you have to do some version of homeschool. So I used to watch like Spanish TV and then live translate to my mom and fake it. And she didn't know. And so it was seeming as if I was doing something. And then she said, every day you have to do some work. So she said, why don't you write? And so I wrote a very dramatic play about like brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first time I would like put good music on and sit and write.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally like 3 pages would go by and I'd be like, fucking Billy Shakespeare over here just wrote 3 pages. Don't check spelling or grammar, but
don't worry about it.
These are words.
It's very dyslexic. Make no mistake.
It's madness.
This is very dyslexic. This whole thing is incredibly
it's
dyslexic.
madness. Utter gibberish.
Yeah.
But I did that thinking that there was some school in the city that my mom had talked about. And then towards the end of the year, then I got a girlfriend and life was going pretty good, actually.
Where's your brother?
My brother at that time was in college. So
was he
gone.
worried about you?
We've never
He didn't come and
about
slap the shit out of you?
Nope. No, we've never actually. I mean, he thought this is weird.
Yeah.
But we never really got into the details.
Were you always kind of weird, though?
Yeah, I mean, it was always funny. So it was always joke. It wasn't like you go to my place and I'm in like a basement cutting stuff.
Right.
You come over, we're having fun.
Yeah.
And then we'd be laughing our asses.
Just don't ask any questions
and then
about
like,
what I'm doing.
What did you do today? And I'd be like, woke up at 2 p.m. And he'd be like, 2 p.m.? And I was like, well, it's because I was up till 6. He's like, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then like I would get my mom into watching like TV and I'd be like, it was fun. We watched like a lot of daytime television.
Yeah, back then you could do that.
It was a blast.
It was wall to wall.
Yeah, what righted it truthfully was it was towards the end of the year and my mom said to me, what's your plan? And I said, probably that art school thing. And she said, did you apply for it? And I go, I don't even know the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that's all done. You missed it. And I was like, huh. And then she said, I think you should just go back to New Trier a year younger. And I went like...
Different character name?
I mean, kind of. But I went like, I mean, honestly, yes. But I went like, oh no. And then I did. And I had to go back. And I was a year younger than my whole class with all new kids. And then I'd be like, I'd walk into the homeroom and the sophomores would be like, hey man, I think you're in the wrong room. And I'd be like, no, man, I'm here now. And nobody knew because it was such a big high
You were
school.
like an undercover cop.
I was
for
21
nothing.
Jump Street.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no reason. And
Are you in 21 Jump Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were. I thought
But yes, that is what it was.
Yes.
And then I had the, oh fuck, and the anxiety dream that still happens is that I'm in high school and I realize I haven't graduated yet. Because then when I went back, I said, I can't fail again.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be in this high school for 6 years. What if I was in high school when I was 25 years old? They'll never if you keep going, you don't get to just leave.
Yeah, I don't think they can kick you out.
It's not participation trophy.
Yeah.
You're still there.
Yeah.
I think that 35-year-old guy from the overalls,
I might be looking at me. Christmas Future. Yeah.
I might be looking at me. So I then, because of the writing, I started bringing that into English teachers and being like, I'm working on this. And then I had like my first cool English teacher who explained like writings like jazz and then saying like, if you don't get this, what do you get? And then the creative world opened up. And then I started doing plays in high school. Then I started getting good attention. And I was like, it's all this.
And you could figure out math and science. You could pass that shit?
I could get enough that I could pass the grade.
Okay.
And you just have to then you'd have to just work harder than everybody. So you'd go like, somebody else, it was like the kid I always hated was somebody where if you're in a class and they'd be like, I didn't do any homework and I got a B.
Yeah.
If I didn't do any homework, I got like a 9%. You know those other people who are like, dude, I barely read the book.
Yeah.
I'm like, same. And I'm like, how'd you do it? And they're like, 78. And
Yeah.
I'm like, 3 out of 100.
How did you
How
know?
did you fake this?
Yeah.
Hey, did you like that? Did you like that? Yeah, did you like it though? You want more? Don't want to work? Would rather watch videos of me grab-assing with people? First of all, go up here to subscribe, and then go up here to watch more clips. This is like when the weatherman says there's a high pressure system coming in. I'm not really used to the green screen.